Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivartaya Sotar Shaktiman Vaisha and Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivartaya Sotar Shaktiman Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Kuri Vaishnavani Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesh Babadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Yuttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance on classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, almost all that is troublesome to the heart is completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. So we're reading first from Srila Prabhupada Amrita. The chapter is entitled London, a Dream Fulfilled. One night lectures in scattered places around the city proved further the need of a temple. Prabhupada had experienced a similar situation in New York City in 1965. At that time also, he had no temple. His audiences would listen respectfully and then disperse, and he would never see them again. To become Krishna conscious, however, a person needed to hear about Krishna repeatedly, and for that a temple was required. Once Prabhupada had his temple established in London, thousands would be able to come and hear about Krishna, take prasadam, and appreciate the lovely deity form of the Lord. A temple would provide guests with regular, intimate contact with devotees of the Lord, and this was essential. In the absence of a temple, however, Prabhupada was prepared to go on lecturing all over London. Krishna's teachings, Krishna's kirtan, and Krishna's prasadam were absolute good. They would act regardless of the external situation. Conway Hall was a 500-seat auditorium in Red Lion Square in central London. By arranging a series of 12 lectures over the next 3 months, the devotees had hoped to oblige Prabhupada to stay in England at least that long. Guru Das had drawn up a list of lecture titles and printed 50,000 handbills. Admission would be 2 shillings and 6 pence. The first night on Conway Hall, about 100 people attended. Prabhupada sat on a cushion atop a table, leading kirtan while his disciples sat on the floor. Yamuna played harmonium, and Mukunda and Kulashekar played mridanga. Prabhupada's Radha Krishna deities stood on their altar on a separate table beside Prabhupada. A Hare Krishna mantra banner hung against the back wall. Guru Das had billed tonight's lecture, Teachings of the Vedas, and Prabhupada explained that Vedic teachings can be understood only by hearing them from self-realized saints. After Prabhupada's lecture, the audience gave a sustained round of applause. Prabhupada answered questions and had Yamuna lead a final kirtan. The next day, Prabhupada wrote to a Dr. Shyam Sundar Das Brahmachari in India. I spoke for about 1 hour, and after that they continued clapping. which confirms their appreciation. At the second Conway Hall engagement, when Prabhupada stood during the kirtan and began to dance, the devotees on stage joined him, dancing in a circle. Ishana played his trumpet, and even Saraswati, her diaper showing beneath her short dress, jumped up and down in ecstasy. Each week would bring another Conway Hall meeting, and Prabhupada's dancing became a regular feature. One night at Conway Hall, an Englishman stood and asked, "Why is it you don't try to help people of your own country? Why did you come so far? Why don't you simply approach the big politicians? There are big politicians. There are big politicians to try to help there." Prabhupada, "You are a great politician. Therefore, I am approaching you. Is that all right?" Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita Ki Jai. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, entitled Lord Rishabhadev's Teachings. And today's verse is text number 26. Sarvani Madishnya Taya Bhavadvish Charani Bhutani Sutadravani Sambhavitavyani Pade Padevo Viviktadrigvis Sadhuhar Haname Sarvani Madishya Dishna Taya Bhavadvish Charani Bhutani Sutadravani Sambhavitavyani Pade Padevo Viviktadrigvis Sadhuhar Haname Sarvani Madishnya Taya Bhavadvish Charani Bhutani Sutadravani Sambhavitavyani Pade Padevo Viviktadrigvis Sadhuhar Haname Sarvani Madishnya Taya Bhavadvish Charani Bhutani Sutadravani Messages. Sarvani, all. Mat Tishnyataya, because of being my sitting place. Babadbi, by you. Charani, that move. Bhutani, living entities. Sutaha, my dear sons. Chuvani, that do not move. Sambhavitavyani, to be respected. Pade Pade, at every moment. Vaha, by you. Viviktadrigvihi, possessing clear vision and understanding that the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Paramatma feature is situated everywhere. Tatu, that indirectly. Ha, certainly. Arhanam, offering respect. May, unto me. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. My dear sons, you should not envy any living entity, be he moving or non-moving. Knowing that I am situated in them, you should offer respect to all of them at every moment. In this way, you offer respect to me. Purport. In this verse, the word vivikta drigvihi, meaning without envy, is used. All living entities are the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Paramatma feature. As confirmed in Brahma Samhita, Andantarastam Paramanu Jayantarastam. The Lord is situated in this universe as Garbhadakshay Vishnu and Shirdakshay Vishnu. He is also situated within every atom. According to the Vedic statement, Ishavasya Midam Sarvam, the Supreme Lord is situated everywhere, and wherever he is situated is his temple. We even offer our respect to a temple from a distant place, and all living entities should similarly be offered respect. This is the difference, this is different from the theory of pantheism, which holds that everything is God. Everything has a relationship with God because God is situated everywhere. We should not make any particular distinction between the poor and the rich, like the foolish worshippers of Daridra Narayana. Narayana is present in the rich as well as the poor. One should not simply think that Narayana is situated among the poor. He is everywhere. An advanced devotee will offer respect to everyone, even to cats and dogs. Vijaya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Sapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater or outcast. That's from Bhagavad Gita 5.18. This Samadarshinaha, equal vision, should not be mistaken to mean that the individual is the same as the Supreme Lord. They are always distinct. Every individual is different from the Supreme Lord. It is a mistake to equate the individual living entity with the Supreme Lord on the plea of Viviktadrik Samadrik. The Lord is always in an exalted position, even though he agrees to live everywhere. Srila Madhavacharya, quoting Padma Purana, states, Viviktadrishti Jivanam Dishnataya Parameshwarasya Veda Drishtihi. One who has clear vision and who is devoid of envy can see that the Supreme Lord is separate from all living entities, although he is situated in every living entity. Madhuracharya further quotes from Padma Purana, Upadayed Paratmanam Jivebhyo Ya Pade Pade Vede Naiva Nachaitasmat Priyo Vishnos Dukaschana. One who sees the living entity and the Supreme Lord as always distinct is very dear to the Lord. Padma Purana also states, Yo Haris Chaiva Jivanam Veda Vakta Hare Priyaha. One who preaches that the living entities are separate from the Supreme Lord is very dear to Lord Vishnu. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. When was Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who is established within this material world, the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet. Panchakalpa Turvyascha Kripasindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees, and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Read the translation once more. My dear sons, you should not envy any living entity, be he moving or non-moving. Knowing that I am situated in them, you should offer respect to all of them at every moment. In this way, you offer respect to me. This chapter is, of course, Lord Rishabhadev's, entitled Lord Rishabhadev's Teachings. And it's Lord Rishabhadev is, of course, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in this chapter, he is instructing his sons. He's, of course, in the role of a king, and he's instructing his sons in transcendental knowledge. And but he's instructing them in the presence of the public. So in this way, he has quite a few sons. I think it was 100 or something like that. Does anybody remember? Something like 100. Yeah. And they're all very exalted personalities. I think it was either 8 or 9 of them were were like fully transcendental persons who later on appear in the 11th canto or something like that, somewhere near the end of the Bhagavatam, if I'm not mistaken. If I could be mistaken. But in any event, they're all very exalted persons, and he's instructing them in this transcendental knowledge. But he wants the whole kingdom, the public also. He wants everyone to benefit from it. So in this verse, he's speaking about an important principle, and it can be and often is misunderstood by many people actually. This point that the Supreme Lord is situated everywhere and also within everyone as the Supersoul. And we know from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains this in chapter 18, text 61. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridaya arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutanam yantrarudani mayaya. Krishna says that the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart as a super soul and is directing the wanderings of all living beings, O Arjuna, who are situated as on a machine made of the material energy. So the material body is like a machine made of the material energy, earth, water, fire, air, ether, and then the subtle body, like the software of the machine, you could say, is mind, intelligence, and false ego. And the living entity is situated within that machine. The real person is within it. But Krishna is saying that alongside the living entity is the Supreme Lord in his super soul feature, also in the machine, alongside the living being. And what he is doing there is he's directing the living beings, he's giving them direction how to act. So we ourselves don't know how to do these things. The Supreme Lord is given direction. It's like the ability to speak, the ability to walk, and all these things. We don't know it inherently. Or if you want to say inherently, that inherentness comes from the Supreme Lord. Sometimes modern scientists speak of, what's the word they would use? Instinct. They use the word instinct. And Srila Prabhupada would often comment on this term instinct, that it's basically what they're indicating is it's not clear enough. Prabhupada's point was that it's not clear enough just to say instinct. That instinct is coming from the super soul, according to Bhagavad Gita, according to this verse in Bhagavad Gita. That the direction is coming from the super soul. In other words, it's ultimately personal. It's not like some impersonal thing, instinct. It's coming from a person, that instinct. And Srila Prabhupada would sometimes give the example of a baby, maybe not necessarily a human baby, but just like some sort of a baby animal. It knows to go to the mother's breast to drink milk. It's just been born. There's no one to tell it. There's no one to show it. Even the mother, it's not like a human mother who can put the child on the breast. It's just with an animal, often the baby itself has to go up to the mother's breast and drink the milk. So Srila Prabhupada explains that how is it that the baby animal can know that he has to do that? And again, the scientists will say instinct, but Srila Prabhupada says that direction, that it must go to the mother's breast to drink milk, that direction is coming from the super soul who is situated in the hearts, in the same machine as that living entity, but he's the one giving direction, and he's the one who has full knowledge of everything. Yes, so a lot can be said about that point, that the Supreme Lord is directing everyone. But this verse is focusing on the idea that of offering respect and not envying other living beings. That when you have this vision that the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart and within everything, then you gradually become free from envy and you become respectful to everyone. Because you see that the Supreme Lord, that everyone is there everyone's body is the abode of the Supreme Lord, and therefore, just like we offer respect to the Lord in the temple, and even we're respectful within the temple towards the temple because of the presence of the Supreme Lord. So similarly, we also respectful towards other persons due to the presence of the Supreme Lord. Generally, in conditioned life, we have material vision, and material vision means that we see others as either objects for our sense gratification or as obstacles to our sense gratification. So in this way, uh, this is how envy comes about, that we see others as we see everything or everyone as an object for our sense gratification. If someone is getting in the way of that, then we envy them. But when we see that the super soul is present, then in everyone's heart and also within every atom, then we save from this what is described as a degraded mentality. You see everyone as objects for our sense gratification. That's actually a degraded mentality. And Krishna explains in chapter 13, text 29, Samam Pashan Hisarvatra Samavashti Tam Ishvaram Nahi Nastyat Manam Tato Yati Param Gatim. One sees the super soul equally present everywhere, in every living being, does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus he approaches the transcendental destination. So the question may come that how can we have this vision of the super soul being present in everyone's heart? It begins, of course, by carrying these things from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, that by hearing about it, we can, at least in the beginning, we can at least theoretically know. Theoretically, we can know that the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. And in that way, we can know how we're meant to act. So like you could say, out of duty, maybe we start to act differently towards people and see them in a different way. But as we follow the process of devotional service, then we begin to realize it. And particularly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, if we attentively chant the Hare Krishna mantra every day, then that will empower us with a transcendental vision, and we'll be able to see how everything is Krishna's energy, therefore Krishna is situated within everything. And also that everyone is Krishna's part and parcel, as Krishna describes in the 13th chapter, I believe. Mame vamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatanaha manashashtanandriyani prakriti stani karshati. So Krishna says, the living entities in this material world are my eternal fragmental parts. And due to conditioned life, they are now struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. So one will be able to have that clear vision and therefore see that the super soul, Krishna's expansion as a super soul, is present in everyone's heart. And then one will, in that way, as Krishna says in that verse, one will not degrade oneself by the mind. So the ideal thing is if we can chant 16 rounds, obviously, but if not as many as we're capable of doing, if we're not yet initiated. But the ideal is to chant all one's rounds in the morning before one starts one's day, because that will give one one's vision as you go out into the world to do your duties, you'll have that transcendental vision when you interact with the world. But even if one cannot do it in the morning before one starts one's day, then still will make it still make a huge difference if one can chant the Hare Krishna mantra attentively, even at some point in the day. But this is the way to have transcendental vision, and gradually, the more one practices, more one becomes purified, and the more pure one's chanting becomes, then the more one can see these things more clearly. Now, I mentioned at the start of the class that many people misunderstand this concept, and the main group of persons who misunderstand this concept is the Mayavadi philosophers. The Mayavadi philosophers, they mistakenly think that because the Supreme Lord has spread everywhere, he has lost his personal identity. So he's situated within everything and within everyone's heart. And therefore, because they have like a material concept, they think that therefore, in doing so, the Lord has lost his personal identity. And in this way, he's become everything. But this is a material concept, because in the material world, we have this understanding that 1 minus 1 equals 0. 1 minus 1 equals 0. But in the spiritual world, everything is absolute. And therefore, 1 minus 1 still equals 1. And 1 plus 1 also equals 1. So in this absolute concept, there's no like loss, there's no diminution. So therefore, the Supreme Lord, he can expand himself into everything. This material world is emanated from him, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. I get the Sanskrit now, but Krishna explains that both the spiritual and material world, they emanate from him. Everything comes from Krishna. Krishna explains. So although everything has come from Krishna and he's situated within everything, still he is not diminished in any way, and he retains his individual personality. And that's of course described in the Brahma Samhita, that although situated Goloka eva nivasatya kilatma bhuta, and so on, the verse states that although Krishna is situated in Goloka Vrindavan, he's expanded himself everywhere, and not just so first in the spiritual world, there's so many expansions and so many planets, and then in the material world, expanding it, creating so many universes, and being situated within them as the super soul. So, to help us understand the example sometimes given of the sun, because it's something we have experience of in the material world, so we can see the concept even in the material world playing out. That the sun has been emanating heat and light and sustaining everyone and everything in this universe since time immemorial. Unlimited amounts of heat and light have been coming from it for unlimited amounts of time. Yet the sun has not diminished in its power. It still remains the same. So if this is possible even for a material thing, then what to speak of for the Supreme Lord, who is, what to speak of the Almighty Supreme Lord. So this, I'm trying to think where to take it next. So Well, I just speak more. I think I'll just speak more on this point because it is an important point of the misunderstanding of the Mayavadis. So the Mayavadis say that, um, just find it in the verse here. Every individual person is different from the Supreme Lord. Uh, this Samadarshana, equal vision, should not be mistaken to mean that the individual is the same as the Supreme Lord. They are always distinct. Okay, so uh, this concept that we are one with the Supreme Lord, and that when we attain liberation, then that oneness again manifests and we lose our individuality. This is the mistaken understanding of the Mayavadi philosophers. And it's very important to understand how this is so. It is true that there's oneness on the spiritual platform. That is true. Because it's in the spiritual world, things are absolute. It's not relative. So in other words, like I'm sitting here and you're all sitting there, and there's a difference. Like we're separated in the material world, that we're like separated, and we're separated by two things. One is either by space, like there's space between me and you, or by time. So either of these two things separate us in the material concept of life. Um, but that is not there in the spiritual world. That separation, because there's no duality. So in a sense, there is oneness, and um, like for example, we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, and Krishna is personally present with us, and even it said he's dancing on our tongue. So that is because time and space cannot separate one from the Supreme Lord, and of course the Lord is different from his name. Um, and once in the beginning of the movement, Srila Prabhupada had to move from one, like where he started his first center, and then gradually devotees started another center somewhere else in America. And Srila Prabhupada had to then leave these first group of devotees for the first time, like actually leave them and go to the other center to help get things going there. And so devotees are very sad, naturally, at having to be separated from Srila Prabhupada. But then Srila Prabhupada, to pacify them and encourage them, he said that when we chant Hare Krishna, when we're chanting Hare Krishna together, I may be there and you may be here. But then we're all, the term Prabhupada used was, we're all packed up together. We're all packed up together. So there's no separation on the spiritual platform, actually, because it cannot be affected by time and space. So, yes, so on the spiritual platform, that's true, there is oneness. And Srila Prabhupada also said in one lecture that uh, he was explaining how when, like, how Krishna consciousness unites everyone. He often emphasizes Krishna consciousness unites everyone. Um, and he gave the example of like um, Henry Ford, the current Henry Ford, Ambarish Prabhu, now known as Ambarish Prabhu. And then he joined the movement, and there was another lady who, so he was a prominent person in the sort of like capitalist bloc, you could say. And then there was another lady who joined, also a young lady who was a prominent person in the if not communist, but like the labor type of bloc, and generally they sort of had loggerheads with each other, and they sort of not don't get on very well. So her father was some prominent person in labor, like you know what I mean by labor, yeah, like socialist side of things. And but they both joined in. They both were happy together, doing practicing Krishna consciousness together. They weren't enemies anymore. So Srila Prabhupada liked to use that example and many other examples. And he said that when all these different persons coming from different backgrounds are together chanting Hare Krishna in Kirtan, then they're not feeling envy towards each other, they're feeling oneness with each other. So, okay, so that oneness is there on this spiritual platform. But it's not how the Mayavadis misunderstand it. And the example that was Prabhupada often gave was that rivers flown into an ocean. The Mayavadis say that just like rivers flow into an ocean and become one with the ocean, so when we connect with Brahman, we become Brahman, the absolute truth. And Srila Prabhupada explained that, okay, fair enough, the rivers may appear to become one with the ocean, but and from a certain sense it's true, but if you go into the ocean, and it's a very important one, if you go deep into the ocean, you'll see there's so much variety there. There's so much variety, so many different kinds of uh, fish and life forms are there, and they all have individuality. And another example that can be given to help us understand is you see a mountain from a distant place, and it appears like one thing. And in a certain sense, you could say that yes, it's a mountain, it's one thing. It is true on a certain level. But if you were to go into the mountain, the amount of variety and different individual living entities that you'll see it's amazing. Actually, it's practically unlimited. So individuality and variety is always there. That point Srila Prabhupada would often emphasize in his lectures, that variety and individuality are always, always there, even though there may appear to be oneness. But if you just have to go closer, and then you'll see variety is always there. So yes, the Supreme Lord is or yes, when we attain liberation, we become one with the spiritual world. But then if you go into the spiritual world, you'll see that the Supreme Lord is there. He's an individual. We are there. We're individuals. And we're all engaged in love and exchange, serving the Supreme Lord, and in that way having love and exchanges with the Supreme Lord. So therefore, why is it that there is individuality? Because the Supreme Lord wants to have love and exchanges with his parts and parcels. Therefore, he gives us individuality and maintains his own individuality so that he can have loving pastimes with us, wherein we are the servant and he's the master. So another, this is in a purport in the Bhagavatam actually, Srila Prabhupada explains that just like sometimes a mother gives birth to a son or a daughter, and after some time, after growing up, the son or the daughter becomes disgusted with life for whatever reason, and they want to commit suicide. Now if they could, they may say hypothetically speaking, they may say to the mother, "Can you just absorb me back into your womb so I can," sometimes you hear it in songs actually. You hear it on the radio, some songs, person regrets being born or something like that. This idea of regretting being born, I wish I was never born. So now those of you who are mothers or fathers will know that you had a particular purpose in uh, in giving birth to, in having a child. You had a particular purpose, right? There was a reason why you had a child. Maybe it's different from each person, but there was a specific reason why you wanted to have a child. And so if the child says like this, that can you just, I regret being born, can you just put me back in your womb and stop my existence? Then you as a parent will feel disappointed. You feel disappointment um, because you had a particular purpose in having the child. So in the same way, the Supreme Lord, um, when the conditioned soul desires to become one with the Supreme Lord, uh, then the Supreme Lord feels some disappointment because he had a particular purpose in us being his part and parcel. He wanted to have a love and exchange with us, and now we don't want to do that. We just want to end our existence. The Srila Prabhupada explained then in that purport that yes, the mother can't, unfortunately, or whatever the case may be, the mother can't fulfill the child's desire to end their existence. She can't just take them back into her womb. But the Supreme Lord, being omnipotent, he can do that. He can do that, and he does. And that's what, when the Mayavadis attain this Kaivalya liberation of becoming one with the Supreme, one with Brahman, that is what's happening. The Supreme Lord is simply taking them back into his existence. In that way, they merge into the Brahman effulgence. But of course, we can hear from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that they cannot stay there for very long because, which is in a sense the Lord's mercy, that because they have individuality and they at some point want to express that individuality and therefore they come back to the material world. The Lord Brahma uses the term vimukta maninas. If they haven't actually taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and are not situated there at his lotus feet, engaged in his devotional service, then they simply think in themselves liberated. They've attained that liberation through some other process other than taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet and engaging in his devotional service. Then they just think they're liberated, and actually after some time they'll come back down again to the material world to try to express their desire uh, for variety and for activity. So, but still, the Supreme Lord. The point is, the Supreme Lord has a particular purpose, and when someone desires like this, it's actually a disappointment for the Lord. But if the living entity really wants to be happy, just like the child, if he really wants to be happy, then he follows the plan of the parents. He cooperates with the parents and he does what they want him to do. In this way, the child becomes happy. So similarly, if the living entity really wants to be happy, he has to follow the plan of the Supreme Lord, cooperate with the Supreme Lord, and that way he'll become happy. And what does the Supreme Lord want him to do? Krishna makes it very clear at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 18, text 66, I think. Sarvadaman Vrijaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Ham Tvam Sarvapapebhyo Mokshayishami Masuchaha. That abandon all varieties of religion, just abandon everything else, all your ideas of how you'll be happy in this material world, and just surrender unto me. And if you think there'll be some sinful reactions, then don't worry, I'll free you from all those sinful reactions. So this is our business, is simply to surrender to the Supreme Lord, which means, surrender means to just do what the Supreme Lord wants us to do, follow the Lord's instructions, and that way we will again come to our happy position of being the eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. So this idea that one can merge into the Supreme Lord, and one who preaches like this makes the Supreme Lord very unhappy. Just like when Advaita Acharya preached in that way, uh, for a specific purpose to get Lord Chaitanya to chastise him. We see how angry Lord Chaitanya became. So the Lord is not very happy, but on the other hand, this verse that Madhavacharya is quoting here in the purport from the Padma Purana, it says, Yo Hares Chaiva Jivanam Veda Bhakta Hare Priyaha. One who preaches that the living entities are separate from the Supreme Lord is very dear to Lord Vishnu. Because how can the Lord have loving exchanges with the living entity if the living entity wants to become one with him? So the perfect philosophy is given by Lord Chaitanya. It means the perfect philosophy is always there, but the acharyas reveal it, aspects of it according to time, place, and circumstance. So in the four Vaishnava Sampradayas, different aspects of this perfect philosophy were emphasized because there were different circumstances they were dealing with. Like one prominent circumstance was Shankaracharya's preaching, taking place, or Lord Buddha's preaching taking place. So they, and just what the people can understand at a particular time. But the perfect, complete philosophy is given by Lord Chaitanya ultimately, which is Achintya Veda Veda Tattva, that the divinities are one with the Supreme Lord, but at the same time different. We are one in quality, but different in quantity. And the examples sometimes given of a cow, that yes, you can say milk is not different from a cow, because without the cow there cannot be milk. But at the same time, when you boil milk, you're not boiling the cow. So there is difference, but at the same time there's oneness at the same time. Or like the example again of the sun. The sun rays are in the room. So you say the sun has entered your room, but it's not that the sun itself can actually enter your room. At the same time, the sun's rays are not, without the sun, the sun's rays cannot exist. So it's one with the sun, but at the same time, it's different from the sun. That is our position as living entities. We are one with the Supreme Lord. At the same time, we are different. We are just like a tiny part and parcel with individuality, and the Supreme Lord is the complete whole, also with his own individuality. And the parts and parcels become happy when they're engaged in their natural position of serving the Supreme Whole as individual living entities. Okay, so and there, ask if you have any questions. Yes, Ruben.
Question with an example. So when chanting japa, is it more important to focus on the number of rounds or to focus on doing it in a nice way? So the example is, say I'm at my second round, my mind is getting distracted, I'm getting wild to go quickly, but it'd be better for me to take a break and only chant again when I am more focused, or to say no, I want to do the number of rounds.
That's a good question. In a sense, you could say quality is more important than quantity. However, unless there's quantity, the quality won't come. Yeah. So it's not that we should feel that I'll rather chant 2 rounds a day attentively than 16 rounds, and maybe they won't be so attentive. Not really like that. We should chant 16 rounds or as many rounds as we can, and also try to chant them attentively. Yeah, because the more we practice chanting, the more purified we'll become, and then the easier it will become. Is that okay?
An example, say we're at round 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm noticing that my mind is going here, everywhere. Which you reckon, should I stop chanting at that point, or that I keep chanting if I know?
Yeah, I would recommend keep chanting, because the only way you're going to uh, like say for example you're going to stop and take a break. There's nothing you can do in that so-called break that'll be more beneficial for your chanting than to keep chanting. Does that make sense?
I apologize for the offense. I'm going to put this
Apologize for the.
in terms of that I keep on chanting that. So
Yeah.
I apologize for
So in the, who can remember? Can anybody remember where the 10 offenses are listed? Which Purana? Anybody remember? Padma Purana. Thank you. So in the Padma Purana, it's stated that there are these 10 offenses to be avoided while chanting, and our acharyas explain that there's an 11th offense, which is to chant inattentively. So you're right, and you're right in thinking that way, that it'll be offensive to chant inattentively. But the how do you say, the rectification method, like the method to apologize or to overcome the offense, is to keep on chanting. Yeah, so you just have to keep chanting, and then that will eradicate that offense of being inattentive. Yeah, and of course, the more you can, the method is to, whenever the mind goes away, from gets distracted, is to just bring it back each time. Yeah, it's definitely 100% it's going to go away until we come to the fully liberated platform of chanting. The mind will always go away. But successful chanting doesn't mean the mind's not going to go away. That's not what successful chanting is. Successful chanting means that when the mind does go away, we bring it back. That's successful chanting. Yeah, so don't feel bad about it going away. Just bring it back. That's all. Make that your focus. Is that okay? Okay, very good. Nice question. Any other questions? Granthraj, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.